Hey, what's up, guys? How's it going? Welcome to the Insta Good Show. Got a little bit of a late start today. Sorry about that. Had to kind of pivot. We were going to have a guest come on and talk about Facebook ads. That's going to be postponed again till next week. Dude's moving. What can you do? I mean, we got to give grace. Totally understand. So today, put together a few things for you about Instagram that I think is going to help you out in your quest to become Insta Good at Instagram. Right. So that's what we want to do for your church. We want to help you become Instagood at Instagram. And over the last, if you search the hashtag Instagood in this group, you'll be able to find all of our past shows and all the things that we've done for Instagram and talked about that you might find valuable as well. They're about 30 minutes long. Hopefully you'll check them out. Go search the video section of this group. They should be there as well. Sorry. Caught frog in my throat today, so I'm trying to. It's not coronavirus. Stop saying that. I ate something weird. So water is needed. But today on the Instagood Show, I've got some news, and the news is, well, let's cover first things first, right? You can follow me at Seth Muse on Instagram, or hit me up on SethMuse.com. That's where all my stuff is. All right, so let's jump into this. Let's talk about news. It's a Facebook announcement, which is the Instagram company, but they have released this. They're releasing the ability to turn off political ads. Just turn them off for your profile. Now, I imagine that's going to extend on to Instagram in some form or fashion. But this is a big deal. Now, if you don't read the interface, this is an email list that you can be on that comes from someone named Casey Newton, who worked at Facebook, I believe, or still works there. But the guy has insider info. So if we take a look at this email that came out just yesterday, it's usually a nightly email. It comes out about 6 o'clock Central here every night of the week, Monday through Friday. And it's insider info. And if you're not on this email list, I mean, this is a great one to follow. It's long and it's extensive, but there's often a lot of good little tidbits of stuff coming up that you can be prepared for what's coming. So he says it's hard to believe now. There was a time political advertising relatively uncontroversial. And he goes on to say that the basic idea is a politician ought to be able to buy space in a media outlet and show it to a bunch of people. Back when it was print, billboards, etc. We'd learned to live with, and social networks came along and the calculus changed. That's what's interesting about this. Buy an ad in a newspaper or TV station, your potential reach is relatively limited, at least compared to the internet. But buy an ad on a social network and its reach is potentially infinite, and it can acquire massive scale in an incredibly short period of time. That's true. We've been saying that for years. Go Facebook ads and use that instead of your print ads. And we've preached that because of that very fact. The old thinking was a politician ought to be able to address their constituents. Sure. And if they say horrible things, it's something the public ought to know. The new thinking was, well, sure. And he goes on. Now, I'm not trying to get political here, but I just want you to understand what's happening here. All that Prelude, it says suddenly this combination of scale and speed feels dangerous in a concrete way. The lie gets halfway around the world before fact checkers even see it. Truth. That's something we have to be, we're living with now. And that's if your social network will even let them fact check the lies to begin with. So there is some of that. This guy, he knows there's always an agenda. So that's the prelude to Facebook. CEO Mark Zuckerberg wrote this: by giving people a voice, registering and turn out voters, and preventing interference, I believe Facebook is supporting and strengthening our democracy in 2020 and beyond. And for those of you who've already made up your minds and just want the election to be over, we hear you. So we're introducing the ability to turn off seeing political ads. We'll still remind you to vote. Interesting. Very interesting news happening in the world today with social media. We have to kind of come alongside of this discussion and understand that we live in a world right now where it is very influenced by the social media space. And no matter what your political view on that is that social media is powerful. We know that. The world is waking up to it now as well. And so what regulations do you put in? All these things are happening. All these questions are happening. So it's very interesting to follow. And I wanted to put that out there and let you know that we will at least be able to tell people on Facebook and probably eventually Instagram that, You can turn all that junk off and you don't have to listen to it. Sorry, my screen is bouncing all over the place. I got to turn on some settings or something to make sure that it stops. Sorry about that. It's acting really wonky. Okay, so that should settle it down a little bit. Anyway, interesting news coming out. So that's the news for today. According to the interface, get on that email list if you're interested in tech news. I used to follow another email list called The Hustle, and it used to be funny. And in fact, if you're on my email list, that was kind of the secret sauce of my early days. I basically would take the tone of The Hustle, and it resonated with me. It resonated with me so much that in my own email list, that's how I wrote. I wrote like I was writing for The Hustle, which was typically tech news done with kind of a snarky, sarcastic tone. And so that's kind of where that came from. Now I'm kind of slowed down on that a little bit, but I'm getting back into it. Anyway, join my list. You'll find out. Let's talk about tips and such. Today's tip is we're going to talk about cross-posting. And what I mean by cross-posting is when you take content that you've made for another platform and you try to share it to Instagram as well, or you try to have the same content on multiple platforms. I don't have a problem with that. In fact, your audience on Instagram and Facebook are probably different. So even if you did post the same, I think the overlap isn't as bad. And with the fact that Facebook shows your followers, shows your content to your followers at about a 1% rate. And then Instagram's about, let's say 5 to be generous, 5% when you post, unless it takes off. The possibility of overlap happening is probably pretty low. So I think you're good, unless you're paying for it. If you're paying for an ad, then it's going to go all over the place anyway. So cross-posting is not something we should say, oh, we got to make it, here's what we're doing on Instagram, here's what we're doing on Facebook. You don't have to do that. If you can do that, I think it's better. If you can specifically make content for Instagram and specifically make content for Facebook and content for YouTube and have it be a different experience, great. But we all know the amount of work that takes, and most of us are one-man shows, one-woman shows. We're volunteer, we're part-time. You know, in the words of the immortal meme, ain't nobody got time for that. So we're going to go and figure this out with cross-posting. We can do it. However, you do have to take into consideration the platform when you do that. You might have a platform, on Facebook, you may create something that works really well over there, but doesn't really work for Instagram. And if you're just making for Facebook and then posting to Instagram as an afterthought, that way of thinking, I think, is old guard. Now, you may have an older congregation, etc., and it may not be. You got to do what works for you. If you are a typically younger church, or you're trying to reach that demographic, it's hard to make content for Facebook and then put it on Instagram, but it's easy to make content for Instagram and put it on Facebook. So if you think about the content you make, Instagram first, even if that's not your typical audience, you can actually use it in both places a little easier without having to do a ton of different work to it. And one of the examples I want to use as to why you should not go from Facebook to Instagram, especially if you're on autopilot, is asking for Gif responses. Don't do that on Instagram. You can ask for a Gif response, such as, hey, respond with a GIF that describes your day. Respond with a GIF that describes how you feel or that is your personality or whatever. And if you just share that to Instagram, the content will look great, but here's the catch. You can't post GIFs in the comments of Instagram. So you look kind of dumb in a way. And I'm sorry to say that harsh, but it looks dumb. It looks like you don't know what you're doing. And when you do that, you lose credibility and you lose, you're definitely not getting any engagement, because since you asked for a GIF, they can't do that. They're not going to do anything. Derek Henson says, yeah, I like using Creator Studio to go IG to Facebook. That's a good option. I create content that's a square or even portrait for Instagram. And then I know that I can use that over on Facebook, format wise. But content wise, when you think about video is another example. You don't want to ask for GIFs on Instagram, but you also, if you have a video that's 4.5 minutes long on Facebook, no problem. On Instagram, doesn't work. You have to use IGTV. And here's a catch with third-party schedulers that I'm learning. I use Buffer. I love Buffer. Buffer is my content scheduling platform. I use it every day. It's great. It's one of my favorites. You could use Hootsuite, Sprout Social, pick yours. I don't care. But Buffer has a free version. And you can post videos to Instagram automatically with a business account, an Instagram business account, on the free Buffer plan. You can do that. They have to be under 1 minute. Totally get it. So your 4.5 minute video for Facebook doesn't work for Instagram, but you have IGTV. If you pay for a plan on Buffer, you can go ahead and post the 4.5 minute video, and it will automatically set it up in IGTV for you through Buffer on Instagram and post it automatically. If you don't have that plan, you have a free Buffer plan, you're limited to 1 minute and that's it. They won't do the IGTV thing for you. It's maddening when I have to work, especially if I work for somebody else and they only want to do the free plan. I'm like, cool, we can schedule it. And still I have to log in. Here's what I do. I have to log in on my phone, share the video to my phone and post it manually. I even text myself the copy that I put in to Asana or Trello is what I use. And I have to text it to myself or get it from the mobile app. It's just a mess. $9 a month, $12 a month for Buffer. Invest in social media, and that's not a big investment, but make it so that you're not spending so much time on this stuff. It is so infuriating to try to work around that for $12 a month. So get that plan and make sure you can do everything you need to do. Don't let your I know budgets are a deal. I know that's an issue, but don't let the tool dictate your content strategy. Don't let Instagram or the API of Instagram, which is garbage and really frustrating, to dictate how you're going to manage social media for your church. Pay that extra buck and get it done so that you can do what you need to do. And that's one of the things for Instagram we have to be aware of. So that's tips and such for the day. If you're cross-posting, if you're posting to Instagram, hopefully I gave you a lot of stuff in there. Hopefully you can digest some of that and work with that. But my encouragement to you is if you go to Later. Later is a great scheduling program. It's a couple bucks cheaper than Buffer. Does the same exact thing, same process. So find a tool that works in your budget. Find the cheapest option you can, but you're gonna but get the features that you need to do your job. That's what you have to pitch when you're talking to those that control the finances. So Instagram, don't ask for gifts on Instagram. That's a no-no. If you're doing that, stop it. As Michael Jordan would say, stop it. You can post in Creator Studio. Brandy says you can post in IGTV and Creator Studio. Can you schedule with it? I don't know. I'd love to find out. I don't use Creator Studio. I typically don't like Facebook's tools. They're really limited. They're getting better for sure. But with Instagram and Facebook's all that'll do. I post to Pinterest, where a lot of my blog traffic comes from, by the way. I post to my pages and my Facebook pages and all that as well, but I also have Twitter, and we also have YouTube. You can connect it to YouTube and upload videos. So third-party schedulers are pretty great in that you can keep all your workflow in one place, even though Creator Studio is probably getting much better. But if all you do is Instagram and Facebook, then yeah, that'll work. That's all you need. I don't know any churches doing Twitter. I'd love to do a poll on that. If your church is active on Twitter, hit me up. I would love to know. All right, Aaron Roundtree says, yes, you can schedule it. He would know. That dude's smart. So you can schedule to IGTV. So that may be an option for you. Okay, let's go into our spotlight for the week. Let's see, I forget where I am. Here we go. Vintage Church ATX. I want to show you some things from Vintage Church. This is a church in Austin, And I want to break down one of the posts that they did recently. I thought it was really, really nice. Vintage Church ATX. And I'm in Texas, if you didn't know that. So obviously I love Texas churches. But here's the post that they did on Instagram the other day. I just liked this for some reason. I thought this was a cool design, even though it's text. Now, and Aaron Roundtree, who's watching, will tell you that, using microblogging on Instagram, the carousel posts and text-based images, pretty good traction you can get on those, especially for churches who have tons of content. It would be easy to think about a blog, translate it to a carousel post, and stick it on Instagram with a little bit of design. And then you can look at this, and what is the design here? It's very subtle, but it's textual. This is typography at its best, mixed with design. You've got a simple font that's small, honestly, so you have to stop, kind of zoom in. And so while you do that, guess what's happening? Old Al, the algorithm, is clocking how much time you're spending on this thing, and it's going towards their favor. So look at this. May the God of hope fill you with all joy and peace as you trust in him, so that you may overflow with hope by the power of the Holy Spirit. Romans 15:13. It's really, really small. Sorry. I'm getting older. My eyes are bad. I actually had to do this the other day. I looked at someone and went with my phone. I was like, oh man, that's what my 70-year-old dad does. I'm gone. Okay, so we won't be going live today, but here's the caption. But we want you to know we're praying for you. If you have any specific prayer requests, feel free to DM us. That's a great caption. It's just simple, it's conversational, and it invites them to engage. And even when you have posts that are meant to be inspirational and artistic, like this one, use your caption to engage. Ask a question. Ask them to do something. Tell them that you're there for them, but also say, we're actively wanting to talk to you. If you are wondering why your engagement's low, I would ask you to go back through your captions and your content and ask and look at what it actually asks them to do. If you're expecting them to kind of just know what to do, or to be so inspired that they can't help but respond, you're going to be disappointed, because people are, well, let's be honest. People are lazy, and they're going to do the least, they're going to take the path of least resistance most often, and they might engage and consume, and we have a consumer mindset anyway. We're going to consume this content, and we're going to move on. We might double tap, and that's this. That's the limit of what we're really willing to do. And so if you want them to do more than that, you have to pull that out of them. You have to actively look for that and ask them for it. I'm going to read some comments here. We still, let's see. Someone in our church just told me yesterday she loved the swipe post content from Derek. That's awesome. I think it's super engaging, and you spend more time on that post, you get more content out, and it kind of feeds that desire that pastors and leaders have to blog without having to spend that much time with it. If you took the points of your sermon from the weekend, and you might struggle with video, and I'm here with you, putting out a clip of your pastor, getting somebody to do it, clip it out, find the section, clip the ends, fade the ends or whatever, put the overlays on it, do all of that stuff. That takes time, and getting that churned out fast. We know speed is of the essence. But you know what's not super hard? Grab a graphic, and you can make the points of your pastor's sermon into a carousel post for Monday. Very, very cool, very helpful. If you can't go the video route, that's an engaging way of doing it. And I'll give you a tip on that in a second. I'll show you something. There's a question. Do you have any advice for a small church to hire a social media person? I assume a person. Do it locally or outsource it remotely. I find it hard to build a job description when I'm not sure exactly what I need, but we are definitely wanting to reach a younger demographic. Hit me up. I'll help you with that. I coach and run companies, and a company that does this, but hit me up in private messages, and I'll connect with you. I can help you with that. William and Lisa, I don't know which one you are asking, but yeah, hit me up in private messages. I'm in the group, and just send me a message, and I'll help you with that, because that is difficult. Finding a job description is tough. because you don't know what you need. Outsourcing versus in-house. I highly recommend an outsourcing option if you can do it. You save money that way. You get experts that way, and you get good content, even though you have to slow down a little bit. So I'm going to give you some tips. This wasn't planned. I'm going to give you a tip here. Okay, let me pull this up. Since we're just chatting and hanging out, you guys, I've got something to show you. Let me pull up Instagram. I'm going to show you what I did that I think is a hack to carousel posts. Let me get this one off of the screen for a second. Okay, let me find it really quick. So a hack for carousel posts. Hey, William. Okay, let's go back to what I did before. All right. Here we go. This is my favorite one that I did. All right, I'm going to share my screen really quick, and you will be able to see what I'm talking about. Now, this is a post that I did that was seriously, bro? Ecamm that I'm streaming with, trying to update right now. Back off, dude. All right, here is the post that I made for a blog that I had written. So I wrote a blog. Did I even write this blog? This wasn't even a blog I wrote. I just did this for Instagram. Okay, 4 things I bet you didn't know you could do on Instagram. I took this one photo. Now I want you to notice something. When you scroll through, look at this. That's the same photo. I used it over here, and I moved the photo because I downloaded a stock photo that was, 5 million by 5 million pixel aspect ratio. And so I can zoom in and still get a pretty clear photo. Now look at the next one. It's another side of the photo. Oh, look, it's another part of the photo. Oh, look, it's another part of the photo. That's one photo that I've pulled, and I just moved it around, and I used Canva to make it. And then here's the final, look, spinning up more tips at SethMuse.com. Clever. That's just one photo, that whole thing. And so I found a stock photo on Canva even that I liked. With Canva, you can put like several in a row and in one field and then download them all at once. And that's how I do some carousel posts. So I can do it really quick. And that way it allows me to put good content out with decent photography. And I'm not a photographer, so I have that limitation as well. Oh, Jim, you can reuse content? Let me blow your mind again. Go back 3 months, find a post that did really well, and just repost it. That was a Bo Coffrin tip from the Insta Summit. My mind was blown. It'll do just as well or better even this time because your followers have changed. It'll probably show it to different people. Reuse content is an awesome tactic. But using the same photo over in your content here, I did it again up here. Yeah, here we go. This is the one. 7 types of content that makes IG feel personal. I just did the same, but I swapped out the photo each time. But it's the same basic format every time. And those are stock. It's like I just need to illustrate the point. And if you're really paying attention to this post, I said 7. There's only 6. Math is hard. So anywho, that is a little tip for you guys if you're trying to make carousel posts, because it is time consuming. I get it. But if you're listening to your pastor, you get your message early, something like that, go into Canva, or if you have a photographer on staff, grab one of their photos, get the huge version of it and just drop it into Photoshop, move it around, put some text, export, move it around, put some text, export. And then you've got it now in 5 or 6 slides that are you can put up as a carousel on Instagram that look really cool and allow you to get some information and content out that people will engage with and like. All right, so we got an off-topic question. So since we're hanging out, and let's see, I got time. My daughter has an orthodontist appointment. I'm watching the clock. We're good. Off topic. You mentioned Pinterest earlier. Do you use Buffer for Pinterest scheduling? Yes. I recently heard about Tailwind. Have you tried it? I've not tried Tailwind. I imagine I know of it. What is that? What is Tailwind? It's another scheduling program, right? But it's got stats and stuff with it or something like that are really intense. Buffer has stats as well. They've just launched a wing of their platform called Analyze, because with a name like Buffer, I guess you don't have to think of any more creative names for stuff, but it is it's the analytics of your posts and stuff. And you get some basic stuff with Buffer, but anyway, yes, I use Pinterest. And here's the thing with Pinterest is that the thing that I get the most traffic for, I didn't even pin. Somebody pinned my 88 ideas for church social media posts freebie that I give away for joining the list. They pinned that, and that gets hit like crazy. Like, I never ever do anything with Pinterest, like interacting or pinning new things, except I pin my blog, I pin my podcast episode. And when I do that, I ignore it the rest of the time. I really don't interact with Pinterest. I don't make new boards. I don't share things, etc. I really don't do anything other than that. And I have I think I'm at 41,000 views a month on Pinterest because that's a content site and it's very often overlooked. But Pinterest is something that I would take your church. This has nothing to do with Instagram. We are way off topic, but I can tell you some things about Pinterest. Maybe we should do a Pinterest show. Who knows? Years ago, I made a board called Church Bulletin Inspiration. I made one called Church Graphic Design, Church Lobby Inspiration, Church First Impressions, and I just pinned a bunch of stuff and shared it in a couple groups, and it blew up. So I don't really do much with that. I might pin something new every month or so. But with my church, I started a Pinterest, and here's what churches can do with it. You create boards for your church's Pinterest account, and one of the boards might be ministries at our church. And you make a board off of your website page. So your student ministry website, pin it as a board, as a pin on that board. Kids ministry, pin it as a pin on that board. And then those pins get traction. And if you have a blog for your church, pin the heck out of that. Make a board for blogs at our church, pin it. Make these boards. And then you can do things like at Christmas time, Christmas recipes at our church. Add a couple of contributors. I know there's a lot of ladies on Pinterest. I'm one of the few guys, I think, on Pinterest. Very, very secure in my masculinity. I love Pinterest, and I find a lot of ideas there. And so I would have them just come in and pin a bunch of recipes they think are great. Sometimes I don't even look at them. I mean, it's like I make sure it's clean and not dirty, and then I pin it and I share that Pinterest board. Like, if you're looking for holiday ideas, here's a pin. And if I wanted to share individual ones, I've got content for days around the holidays. Easter, Christmas, are those the only holidays? I think those are the only holidays. Thanksgiving, whatever. It's like you can find all this content. And what's great about that is you never run out of things to talk about because Pinterest is an idea generator. And part of a good church strategy might be using Pinterest to fuel content for your church, because there's also bloggers are big on Pinterest because it's a content idea site. But you take one of those those blogs you find based on your interests and things like that, and you can take that blog and pin and share that on Instagram. Make a graphic for that. Share it on Instagram. It's a great content generator for churches that they often ignore, and nobody talks about. Nobody talks about Pinterest. I mean, if you Google, search this group for the word Pinterest, you might find 5 questions about Pinterest. But it is a great platform, really is. And here's one of the best things about Pinterest. Nobody yells at anybody. There is no chat. There is no yelling at people. It's a really nice place to hang out. Anyway, that's on my Pinterest rant. Let's get back to Instagram. All right. So, William, all this blogging content I'm producing could live forever. Absolutely. Are you producing a lot of blog content? Good for you, man. That is great. Because churches sometimes forget that churches often forget that your SEO and your being found on Google is greatly impacted by you creating content frequently that changes your website, keeps it fresh, and that others like to share and link back to. So when you get people to share a blog from your website and that link is put in your Instagram account and people hit up your blog from your Instagram link, Google likes that. Now, it's not a huge factor. It's not like we're going to post one blog and we're going to get to the top of Google. You're not. But if you do it consistently, it does raise those rankings. It's a holistic approach to how you're found. And because here's the thing, people are not really searching for church. They are searching for 10 ways to help with my kids. They're not searching for ministry. They're searching for, 5 things I can do for a great date night. That kind of stuff they're looking for. And if you're creating that kind of content, then that's what people are finding on Google to connect with your church. Same thing with your Instagram. They're not really looking for announcement info on Instagram. They're looking for inspirational stuff, funny stuff, behind the scenes, interesting stuff. My friend Kyle Draper, who spoke at the Insta Summit, who's going to be on my podcast very soon. We already recorded the episode, the Seminary of Hard Knocks podcast. He'll be on there in a couple weeks. But one of the questions he asked at the Insta Summit that was just brilliant was, are you interesting? Are you interesting on Instagram? And I think for many of us, we're not. We're not interesting. We just say the same stuff. We have standard graphics. We don't really ask them to do anything. And I think that we know it and we don't want it to be that way. It's like John Mulaney's like, when he's talking about driving, he's a terrible driver. And he goes, they pull up to me and they're like expecting to see, one thing, and they see a 20-year-old man trying his best. He goes, I don't want to be doing what I'm doing either. And that's kind of how we feel. It's like, we don't want to be doing what we're doing either sometimes with this, but, we find ourselves stuck in that position and, not really knowing what to do, or we are so overwhelmed that we can't dedicate time to creating content that our people definitely want to see. So, I get it, but Pinterest is a great way to fuel some of those ideas. Get my 88 ideas thing. It's free. All you gotta do is join my email list. And if you're not into the email list, you can just unsubscribe, but I'll give you the free thing. I don't care. It's fine. But it's finding these content ideas and being creative with your church, because this is a social platform. And when you come at it like an advertising platform, I think you miss it unless you're paying for it. So anyway, that's my rant. Second or third rant of the day. So Vintage Church, great post. I wanted to end up today with something that's a little bit self-serving, but, I realize, I only do this because I realize many churches are struggling with Instagram. Now, I coach a lot of communicators on all things communications. So I wanted to offer that to you guys and say, call me up. If you want to look at my coaching, though, SethMuse.com/coaching. You can go check that out and take that on. But specifically, if you need help with Instagram, I am very available to help. I would love to help you think through strategy, think through the process or content or whatever it is you need. I offer a 45-minute free meeting. Just the first one is free. On that page, there's a link. You just set up an appointment. I'll be there. We'll talk through whatever you want to talk through, and we can talk about coaching in the future if you want to. But honestly, I just want to help. I want to help you. I want to help you get better at this stuff. And so I wanted to offer my time to you. I give you 45 minutes. We'll hammer out any issue you might have. So hit me up at that link, and I would love to talk through this stuff with you further. If you want to talk Pinterest, if you want to talk podcast setup. I saw somebody was looking for that. Who was that? Who said that? Oh, Derek. Just use Pinterest to search for podcast studio setup. Oh, yeah, totally. There's a lot of infographics about marketing, social media management, content ideas. Sometimes when I need ideas, I go to these things, to Pinterest, and I search for church social media content list or something like that. And there's more people out there doing stuff for just creating content ideas. And I might use some of those. And, so there's a lot of things you can search on there. Marketing, SEO, how to do things better. It's an idea. What's the word I'm looking for? Repository. There you go. I used a big 25-cent word. Okay. So this is the show for today. Thanks for watching the Insta Good Show. For everybody, thank you for all the comments. This was great. I love it when you guys are talking back and asking questions, and I can feel like I can meet needs right here, because I can always prepare. I've got opinions for days, but I love to help you guys with what you need help with. So hit me up at sethmuse.com or follow me on Instagram at Seth Muse. Let me throw that up again. Throw that up. That's a gross thing to say. All right, Seth Muse at sethmuse.com. So hit me up, and I would love to talk to you guys. Let me know if I can help. And if you need coaching, sethmuse.com/coaching, hit me up there. I would love to talk with you. 45-minute free meeting for that. Let me know. All right, guys, have a splendid day out there in the church comms world. Be kind, be nice to each other, have empathy, have compassion, and love each other like Jesus loved the church. We're going to be all right. So see you guys. Thanks for watching.